Kia ora and welcome to this rugby league video chatting about the Brisbane Broncos and their epic victory over the Penrith Panthers at Suncorp Stadium. Just joking, we're actually here to chat the greatest rugby league team in the whole wide world, the New South Wales Cup Warriors, who have won the New South Wales Cup Championship. They defeated the St. George Illawarra Dragons 12-30 to seal success and an epic victory for the New South Wales Cup Warriors. If we just look back at the Warriors versus Dragons results, they had a big win to start the season. Then they had early in the season, then they had a 14-all draw in Australia midway through the season. Then they lost in the first week of the finals before bouncing back, returning to Sydney for a grand final victory. And the best thing about Warriors winning championships in New South Wales Rugby League competitions is that all the finals games are played in Australia. So the Warriors lost their first New South Wales Cup Finals game against the Dragons, but then they had a 42-14 win over the Parramatta Eels, and then they defeated the Dragons 30-12. So those last two finals games, they scored over 30 points in both of them. They conceded less than 20 points in both of them as well. If we're talking New South Wales Cup championships and winning finals games in Australia, then we have to combine the New South Wales Cup team and their championship with the under-17 Harold Matthews Cup team, who won their second championship in a row earlier this year. So in the year of 2025, we have had the under-17s win a championship and the New South Wales Cup Warriors win a championship. All 6 finals games that the under-17s team has won in these back-to-back championships were in Australia. So if we just look this year alone, that under-17s team had 3 wins in Australia. New South Wales Cup team had 2 wins in Australia. That's 3 plus 3 is 6, 5 wins, 1 loss for these 2 teams in finals footy, all of which is played in Australia. And these are the really impressive foundations that a lot of people may not know about, they may overlook, they may not even care enough to dive into what is happening at the Warriors. Because if we go to Andy's era, Andrew McFadden in charge of recruitment and development stuff, Andrew Webster, NRL coach, they both took over in 2023. What's the NRL team done since then? They've made the finals in 2 of the 3 years. NRLW team, they've returned to the competition. They were solid this year, so we keep building. I'm not too sure what's happened with the Jersey Flegg and SG Ball. I'm conveniently leaving them out of this equation because there's 2 levels above, and there's a level above and a level below those 2 teams that have been uber successful in this period. New South Wales Cup team, they won a championship this year, but they've been top 4 in all 3 seasons of the 2 Andes era. Under-17 Harold Matthews Cup, as I said, first 2 years of their existence in this competition, they've won back-to-back championships. Lots of wins in Australia playing finals footy as well. It's kind of undeniable that there is something cooking at Mount Smart Stadium as far as the development system and how the Warriors are building out everything below the NRL team. Just going back to the under-21s and under-19s, SG Ball, most of the best players aren't playing those grades. Like most of the under-21s dudes were playing New South Wales Cup this season. A lot of games where half the team was under-21s, and a lot of the SG Ball players, they were at the younger end of eligibility, or they were playing under-21s. And the cool thing about this New South Wales Cup Championship is all the players the Warriors have used this season. And to be honest, all the players they've used over all 3 seasons of New South Wales Cup, they have been the best team in New South Wales Cup and probably Queensland Cup across these 3 years. And it's not dependent on any one player. It's not even dependent on one coach, because Slade Griffin, I think, was New South Wales Cup coach in 2023. Then they changed over to David Tangata Toa, and he has steered them in the right direction for 2 years. You think back, like Ben Farr, Paul Roach won the Queensland Cup with Burleigh, so shout out to him. He was involved. Patrick Vaivai, James Gavey, Maya Sands, Gary Tuilakutu, now playing for Wynnum in Queensland Cup. There's so many dudes that have come through that New South Wales Cup team and moved back to Australia. Some of them were Aussies, or moved to Australia as players from Aotearoa across these 3 seasons, but also just this year. Like, the Warriors team that played the Dragons was a pretty strong team, and it was stronger on paper than what they usually dished out. And I have a quick little list here of players who have played a fair amount of New South Wales Cup this season who weren't playing in the final. C.O. Kelly on the wing, Morgan Harper, Dayon Amatuanai. 3 outside backs right there who played a lot of footy this year for New South Wales Cup, didn't play in the final. Kalis Putoko made his debut this year at centre for 1 game. Motu Pasikala, I don't even think he played this year because he was playing under 21s after making his New South Wales Cup debut 2024. Caleb Lehman did a job in the halves when Luke Hanson, Tanner Boyd and Tamaira Martin were out of action. Tamaira Martin did play a few games at the start of the year as well. Jacob Laban, Toby Crosby, Makai Tafua, Harry Durbin, Rodney Tuipulotu-Vea, Jacob Auloa, Patrick Moimoi, Ituati Fukafuka, Alvin Chong-Ni. All of those dudes, Chong-Ni only played 1 game, I think, but all of those dudes played a couple of games at least of New South Wales Cup as young forwards. So there is a wide group, like there's the 17 players who were involved in the final. They got the job done. But there was a wide group of players who have not only helped the Warriors be top 4 in 3 years during the 2 Andes era, but they also helped the Warriors win games this season when a lot of the best players were stepping up to NRL. And there is still, even though this was a strong New South Wales Cup team full of NRL caliber players, still a crop of under 21s here. Luke Hanson in the halves, Tanner Stowers-Smith, Kalis Fatialofa, Eddie Ramea Toiava, Jason Salalilo and Jet Cleary. Stowers-Smith, I'm not sure if he turned 21 in March. I'm not sure about the eligibility cutoff, but I'm going to chuck him in here just to make a point. Still a decent chunk of the team, 6 players under 21s in the best New South Wales Cup team this year, playing in the grand final. During the season, there are a couple games where more than half of the New South Wales Cup team were under 21s and they were winning. Shout out Tanner Boyd. 16-0, I believe, in New South Wales Cup this year. Absolute champion. And he was in the starting halves combination with Luke Hanson for the final. Jet Cleary played a few minutes off the bench. I was watching that Broncos win over the Panthers in the NRL, and old mate Vossi is one of these Aussies who has like a fetish for Jet Cleary. They only care about Jet Cleary. Jet Cleary is the only player, he's the only like New South Wales Cup player that any Australian cares about. And he was hyping up the Queensland versus New South Wales Cup final game that is played on Grand Final Day as a chance to see Jet Cleary play. Well, brother, Jet Cleary has the last 2 finals games, he's played like 5 minutes off the bench. He's behind Tanner Boyd. He is behind Luke Hanson. And Luke Hanson, I'm not sure if he's staying with the Warriors, because you can see a bit of a halves clutter here at the Warriors right now, and it's something to watch out for over the summer. A lot of halves just competing. NRL team, Chanel Harris-Tavita, Tamaita Martin, Luke Metcalf. Then you got Tanner Boyd, Luke Hanson, Jet Cleary, Caleb Lehman did a job, as I talked about. Jai Linane's coming next season. Jack Thompson is a fantastic Aussie talent. Maui Winatana Patalaseo's been doing a job playing under-21s while still under-19s, let alone any other youngsters coming up. So definitely one, maybe two of those halves will be departing the Warriors because you just got too many good halves there. Luke Hanson, 2 years, don't have the specific stats. Shout out Tain Tuau Piki. I'd love to dive into his stats, but he's not good enough for a New South Wales Rugby League profile, and they haven't updated the player stats, player profile stats as of Monday morning. But I do have Luke Hanson, his 2 years with the Warriors, both years under 21 eligible. He's played at least 10 games of New South Wales Cup in both seasons. He's got at least 5 tries in both seasons, at least 10 try assists both seasons, averaging at least 50 run meters in both seasons, tackling over 90% in both seasons. That's really solid halves mahi for a bloke who is under 21s and a bloke who is, right now, he's being overshadowed by Jet Cleary, but Luke Hanson has been a key figure in that New South Wales Cup group for 2 seasons while being under 21 eligible. Shout out to him. And also shout out to another Aussie, Samuel Healy, in the final, 11 dummy half runs for 94 meters. That is Sam Healy, summed up perfectly right there. That is why I think he should play a lot more NRL. He runs the footy. He's a funky dummy half threat, and he has had a fantastic year with the Warriors in his first season at Mount Smart Stadium. Another shout out to Kalis Fatialofa. He played 80 minutes in 22 of 27 games, I believe, while still being under 21 eligible. All of which were played at edge forward. So a great season for Kalis Fatialofa. Expect him to make his NRL debut next season. And also shout out to Jason Salalilo, next up from the Christchurch Wave. Tanner Stowers-Smith's leading the Christchurch Wave right now. Then you got Jason Salalilo. He played 21 games of New South Wales Cup this year. That is more than he played in 2 seasons of Jersey Flegg under 21s and 1 season of SG Ball combined. Now, obviously, the SG Ball season's a bit shorter, but I think he played 1 game under 21s last year, 6 games of under 21s to start this year. Then he just went straight into New South Wales Cup on the bench, 21 games there every single week. And when the time came to cut a few players, because, I mean, NRL players are coming back down to play New South Wales Cup, so Tanner Stowers-Smith, Eddie Otamia Toiava, they're back in New South Wales Cup. So someone had to drop out. And when the time came, Finals Rugby League, Jason Salalilo wasn't the dude cut. The dude cut was Toby Crosby, which might be pointing to his future at the Warriors. And instead, Jason Salalilo played 46 minutes in the grand final. Not a lot of people know who Salalilo is coming out of Christchurch, but I think he's the biggest riser in the Warriors system this year, considering he was just a consistent player in New South Wales Cup while starting the year in under 21. So a fantastic year for Salalilo in the middle of the Warriors forward pack. And also shout out like Graham Talfa, he's been fantastic player in all 3 seasons. Edward Cossey, solid in New South Wales Cup winger. They're both off to the Rabbitohs. Bunty Afoa, wait and see where he's off to. But the way Bunty Afoa just stayed solid with the Warriors, and Tomale, the way both of them stayed solid with the Warriors, even though they knew they probably weren't going to play NRL much, Andrew Webster would have told them, you're probably not going to play much. We're going to go with the younger forwards who are a bit quicker, a bit more mobile, I believe. Afoa and LA stayed solid. No dramas. Just aligned with everything about the Warriors, even though they would have wanted to play NRL. They might not have been happy they were overtaken by the young forwards. They didn't try to suss out early releases and get the fuck away from the Warriors because they were pissed off. They stayed solid. They kept showing up in New South Wales Cup. They won a New South Wales Cup championship, and like there's a lot of dudes here. Freddie Lussick, Keilani going, Tom Ale, Geronimo Doyle, absolute champion. Geronimo Doyle might not have a future in the NRL, but he's an absolute trooper in New South Wales Cup. Kossi, Graham Telfer, Setutu, same story. Had a stint in Queensland for a while there, came back to the Warriors, then he's starting in the grand final. All these dudes should be celebrated because their love for the Warriors ensured that they stayed aligned with the direction of the Warriors. They stayed in the groove. There were no dramas about no NRL game time or being overtaken. And this is one of the things that makes me wonder what the Warriors are offering some of these players at the New South Wales Cup level. Because sure, you got guys on NRL contracts. Who cares about top 30? Don't worry about that. No one cares top 30. No one cares about development lists. Some of these players have NRL level contracts where they're making NRL money. Some of these players don't have any official contract, but you know they're making money playing New South Wales Cup. And that's something that I think the Warriors have tweaked, is maybe how they're paying some of these players, because guys are coming from Australia to join the Warriors and work or play rugby league. Like, they're making the move with no guarantees, with no promises about game time, NRL futures. They're coming to the Warriors to be part of the system where they develop, they get better, they're probably winning, which helps, but also without any facts, figures, and strictly speculations, these dudes are making a bit of money. So the Warriors business, the Warriors operations, I don't know exactly what's happening, but something is happening where the Warriors can get players from Australia. They can get players from around Aotearoa in the local scene. They can make sure they've got a house. They look after them. Like, why would Tanner Boyd come to Auckland if the Warriors were taking the piss looking after him? Why would Tom Ale and Bunty Afoa stick around if they weren't being taken care of? Why would Freddie Lussick be such a loyal servant to the Warriors if the Warriors were like, nah, Bowl, you can just figure it out on your own? None of that's happening. All these dudes are doing the opposite. All these dudes love the Warriors. They want to be there. And I think there's some tricky stuff happening behind the scenes, I reckon, giving them job. Like, none of this is different to what any other sports team does at this level or at your local grassroots level. It's all the same stuff. Give them a job, make sure they're taken care of, but it is top tier as far as managing players, managing people, and making sure everyone's looked after. So I love to see that, and that's just purely based on the caliber of players that are coming to Mount Smart, the caliber of players who are happy playing New South Wales Cup for a moment in time and getting the job done, all of which is summed up by Keilani Going. Keilani Going joined the Warriors from Northland Rugby Union. He was in the midfield, playing a bit of NPC during the pandemic for Northland. Now, he's played, let's check in. How many games has Keilani Going played during the two Andes era? 74. 75 now, I think, with the final. 24 games, 25 games, 25 games in 3 seasons with the Warriors. 66 win percentage based on that 74 game number. Like, what Keilani Going, something's happened. Like, whether he's got a train and trial contract, development contract, top 50 contract, whatever it is, Keilani Going thought the best move for him was to change codes from rugby union. Did play rugby league back in the last decade in the Canberra Raiders system. The better option for him, rather than playing NPC rugby and chasing the rugby union dream, the better option for Keilani Going was to play New South Wales Cup for the Warriors. Like, You know for a fact Keilani Going is being looked after at the Warriors in a variety of ways. He is an absolute trooper for this team, and he has played edge, he's played middle. He could provide a solid backup to Aaron Clark in the small forward position, especially because he's a little bit older, a little bit more experienced, and he's got 3 seasons developing skills in the Andrew Webster system. So I don't want to just shut the door on Keilani Going as an NRL player. I do want to celebrate him as a New South Wales Cup player, but I also think his mana in the Warriors system and the way the Warriors system works, Keilani Going can play NRL if he sticks around, if the Warriors are willing to look after him, and that could be a useful player to keep around. Same with Geronimo Doyle, because of all the youngsters coming through. Whether they're a bit immature, whether they're a bit unreliable, the more mature players, the more experienced players you can count on to get the job done. And Keilani Going, if we're saying top 4, all 3 years during the 2 Andes era, Keilani Going's played over 20 games in all 3 seasons. He has been an absolute trooper for the New South Wales Cup Warriors, and he deserves all the recognition that he's getting as the captain, as the leader of this team. And shout out to the New South Wales Cup Warriors, because they're always a fun team to track. You've got the senior players who love playing for that team. You've got the youngsters on the rise, developing, getting better. And we'll wait and see what happens this weekend. They'll be playing Burleigh in the cross-state thingamajig. So that will be interesting. But it won't change anything about how successful this year has been for the New South Wales Cup Warriors, and how successful these 3 years have been for the New South Wales Cup Warriors, because they have maintained and sustained success using a wide range of players, all sorts of ages, Aussies, players from Aotearoa, players from around Aotearoa, players coming like needing an opportunity, players, freaky talents on the rise, older players who are dropping down. All stages of their careers is what I'm saying. Fantastic stuff. New South Wales Cup Warriors, champions of 2025. You're a champion too. Have a good Monday. Do some championship type of shit if you can. Otherwise, do it anyway. Like, it's all good. Later, Bolt.